Coming up next on Access Framingham TV, Madagascar, with my guest, Amy Dane. Stay tuned. Welcome to Travels with Jack. I'm your host, Jack Barron. Each month, we bring you a guest with an exciting travel experience to share. It might be a vacation in California, a cruise on the Amazon River, a trek in the Himalayan mountains, or a business trip to Las Vegas. Where have you gone? If you'd like to be a guest on our show and share with us a recent trip, a vacation, a cruise, maybe a day trip right here in New England, we would love to have you as our guest. Tell us about the transportation, the hotels, the shopping, the good food you enjoyed, the people that you met, anything you'd like to share with your friends and our viewing audience. Just contact us here at Access Framingham Television and let us know you'd like to be a guest. You can phone AFTV at 508-875-5434, or you can send us an email message to info@accessfram.tv. Our associate producer will contact you to make arrangements for you to be our show guest here on Access Framingham TV. Today, frequent traveler Amy Dane returns to Travels with Jack. In November 2011, Amy visited the world's fourth largest island, Madagascar, which is 250 miles off the coast of East Africa. Amy has joined us to share that visit with you. Welcome, Amy.
Thank you.
Nice
Glad
to have you. Nice to see you. A little history on Amy. Amy Dane is from Longmeadow and is currently lecturing about her passion to travel. She has been to over 90 countries. I'm jealous. She is also currently doing a travel photography show and exhibit throughout the state of Massachusetts, and she's exhibiting at hospitals, libraries, and galleries. Her website is www.amydaneadventures.com. It lists many of the services she offers as a, I'm going to say, travel connoisseur. It talks about her exhibits and other relevant information. Amy is married and is the mother of 2 children. And she's
No pets.
What? No
pets?
I'm not going to tell my dog Cole. And she's going to share with us today her trip to Madagascar, where I have always wanted to go and have never been. So
there's always time.
Go ahead, make me envious. Tell me how wonderful it was, and let's hear about it.
Okay. It was great. I went in November of 2011, right before, and if I can just ask for the next slide, you'll see why I was so excited to go. This is what my street looked like the day before I left.
Okay.
You all remember that lovely ice storm we had, and in Western Mass, we really suffered. We really suffered. In fact, I lost 20 trees on our property alone.
Oh, my God, really?
So I went outside with my camera, and this was the day before I left. So the idea of getting into, and we had already lost heat for 3 days. No heat. And of course, we just froze. And the idea of getting into a car and driving to Logan Airport in a warm, heated car was very, very exciting to me. And I had no idea. We had no communication.
With all those broken trees, you didn't cut a few and put them in the fireplace?
We don't, yeah. Wouldn't that be smart? I had no idea, of course, in Boston how things were going because we had no communication. I didn't even know that the flight would go or not. I was just happy to get in the car and go. And sure enough, the flight did go. So that was very, very good.
Let me interrupt you. What airline did you take?
Okay, this is interesting. Now, I took Air France through Paris.
Oh, okay.
Now, I got to Paris in the morning. That's 6.5 hours, as you know, to get to Paris. And I was supposed to connect with another Air France flight within the couple hours to continue to Madagascar. Well, wouldn't you know that with the change of season, Air France changed their schedule.
Without telling you.
Of course, when I went to check in for the flight, there was no such flight. Well, that's just very nice, isn't it? So they booked me on a Madagascar Airlines flight that night, which meant I had to sit around Charles de Gaulle all day. When I tell you all day, I mean 12 hours worth of a day.
Okay.
I finally walked myself
Don't you love it when the airlines just cancel on
I
you?
went into the Hilton at the airport like I owned the place and sat in the lobby, and they left me alone.
Okay.
You couldn't use the facilities. When it came time that I had to use the facilities, I had to leave. But they would let me sit there and nap sitting up. You can't lean over, but if you nap sitting up. So it actually took me 17.5 hours of actual flight time, but this went over the course of 2 days and 2 nights. So I finally arrived in the capital city on Tuesday morning or Thursday morning, November 3rd, that much later, and was picked up at 7:30 in the morning. Very, very bleary-eyed, I have to say. And I would like to show you where Madagascar is, for starters. We can, see, there we have it, that little thing.
Thank you, Bill. That's a great map.
Nice little island there is actually the 4th largest in the world after Greenland, Papua New Guinea, and Borneo. And as you told us, Jack, you were right exactly. It's 250 miles off the coast of East Africa in the Indian Ocean. It's well below the equator, very tropical, nice little place. And next, please, we go to 2 maps side by side. And on the left, you'll see the star. That's where the capital is, Antananarivo. And they call that Tana for short. Tana.
Okay. And what language is that, if you... Is that Madagascan?
I would say it must be Malagasy. Malagasy is their language.
Okay.
There's also plenty of English and French, but there we are, and we went down. Now, if you look at the right map...
Now, you say we. Did you go with friends?
I went with a group. I had one friend I travel with a lot. She's from Glasgow, and we meet up.
Did she go with you to Antarctica? No? Was she?
No.
No, okay.
No. But she has gone with me quite a lot, and we meet up wherever.
Yep.
And this was a group of British people, and you see our itinerary on the right map. And we, of course, land in the capital city, and you see, I'll go sort of from top to bottom. Andasa Bay there is where we saw quite a lot of lemurs. We'll be talking about that. Now, if you look down the right side of this map, you will see a mountain range, that dark area. Okay. And this is a limestone escarpment that traps in moisture so well. So that's where you get a lot of the tropical rainforests here.
Okay.
Yet, once you go left, you see the Izalo National Park there. It turns into sandstone, and you have real desert conditions. And they even have a canyon they call the Grand Canyon of Madagascar.
Oh, so in other words, even though you may not be that far away, it changes dramatically.
Dramatically. The landscape can change incredibly. And you'll see some slides later on in the show that will give you a feel for all of these conditions. Now, they don't have volcanic activity or anything, but there's actually a gorgeous lake that you'll see that was made out of an ancient volcano.
Oh, okay.
So there's all kinds of things to see. I'd like to tell you that it's one of the poorest countries.
Oh, really?
It's one of the 50 poorest countries in the world. And they actually...
I have to interrupt you.
Please.
Other than Travels with Jack, I'm in the food business. And we buy vanilla beans from Madagascar. And they get very high prices. So... there must be a few rich farmers there. So,
if there are, Jack, they're in the north.
Okay.
And that is exactly where we did not go. We were offered at one point some vanilla to buy.
Okay.
But you see, since I've given up my baking, I have no need.
Okay.
I no longer want to cook and bake. I don't want to do anything. That's it. I'm through. I'm really, really done. But you're right.
Why is it I meet all these women, they get over a certain age.
We've done it. We've been there and done that.
They don't want to cook anymore.
Right.
They don't want to
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, but the men can still go to work. So, okay,
absolutely.
go to work.
Please. That suits us perfectly well.
All right.
But it is a poor country.
I'm going to get letters now. All right.
Letters. Although I must say nobody was starving.
All right.
They have a life expectancy of about 60 years, so that's not so bad. And they actually have the lowest HIV/AIDS rate in Africa, so that's kind of nice.
So they do consider themselves Africa. All the people who keep track of that
really
stuff.
Not. They're really not. Actually, and they don't really look African either. They have their own look, and you'll see that when you see some of the slides.
Okay.
But that's true. No, they really don't.
And they were what, a French colony originally? Or I will
let you know about that. Originally, they started relations with Great Britain.
Oh.
And then somewhere in the 19th century, Britain decided to forget it and go pursue their interests in Zanzibar instead. So then the French came in. And yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
And still to this day, more French is spoken than English. And it's great fun to get to go practice your French when you go over there. So that's kind of nice. So anyhow, I was telling you that I got there at 7:30 in the morning, totally bleary-eyed after 2 nights on a plane. And if we go to the next slide, you'll see a beautiful, oh, we missed one.
Who is this?
Actually, this is where
Salama.
I thought I had shown you the building, a beautiful building, and this is where you learn about the early history of Madagascar. So yes, this is the first, what they call Marina chief. They were Marina kingdoms, okay, Marina tribes. And this guy, he unified these kingdoms.
Okay.
And started the relations with Great Britain, and he had 12 wives.
Okay.
All of whom had their own palace.
Oh, really?
Yes, he was smart. And we're going to...
But none of them cooked, or they cooked?
I don't know what they did. But anyhow, I want you to remember him.
That's what I want these museums to let us know. Did the wives cook?
You're going to see his palace in a minute, so remember him.
Okay.
And now we go to the next king who took over, Radama I.
This is his son, or?
That, I believe, was his son. Oh, that one, let me think.
That's all right, I won't pick on.
Okay, yes. He's the one that started the relations with Britain. The other one was earlier. But he died young. He died at age 36.
Okay.
And his
they don't
widow,
look African. They look, he looks more Malay.
Right. They do look more Malay.
Yeah.
His wife then took over when he died.
Okay.
So here's what she looks like. She was the terror queen of all time.
Okay.
She ruled by sadism, torture, brutality, and believe it or not, in the 33 years of her reign, she decimated 25% of her people.
Okay.
She was an isolationist. She declared Christianity illegal. She wanted nothing to do with Europeans. However, she did have a fancy for one European French architect she was having an affair with, who built her a lovely palace that we will also see.
Okay.
Now, this was her successor, her son, and he got rid of his mother's evil ways, reinstated freedom of religion, Christianity was okay again, and things went on like that. And in 1896...
But he only ruled, what, 2 years? Is that correct?
Not very long, yes. Not very long. In 1868, Madagascar became a French colony.
Okay.
And Madagascar did not really get independence until 1960. Now, this is the palace I told you about, the palace of the first king.
Okay.
On the left, you see this doorway with this huge, big, round rock.
Yep.
And that's the sort of the cover for the door. So before you would enter the area at night, or they would close it by rolling that rock over and open it up again in the morning.
Oh, I see.
So that's
rolled it.
Yeah, I don't know how they could have managed that thing.
I don't either, but okay.
And on the right, you see how you go up toward the complex here. And the king had a nice little palace, teeny tiny, not what we think of as a palace. Next. And he was always watching his back, because the tribes would squabble. So he would sleep up high on a bunk bed. We couldn't take pictures in there. It was pretty dark in there. But all over the walls were his cooking pots, his things, so somebody cooked, his weapons. In the middle of the room was a fireplace, and there was a chest of his linen. So that's how he lived.
So you'd say even though royalty, he lived relatively simply.
Now,
Yeah.
this is his bath. He only had a bath once a year to celebrate the New Year. So as we understood it, he would bathe with all 12 wives. He would sleep with the wives and bathe with them and celebrate the New Year. So that's the once-a-year bath.
Well, that was, what we call a hot tub.
A hot tub, indeed. That's what it was.
Okay.
And then if we continue, we go and we see, next, the Queen's Palace. Evil Queen's Palace, which is much fancier and later. It would date much later. Now, she was so paranoid that someone would poison her that she had a dining room full of mirrors so she could watch people move and watch them serve.
And were you able to tour her palace?
Yeah, we could go inside.
Oh, okay.
And it was really quite elegant, small but elegant. So this was kind of fun. Next. And the tomb. So this is the first king's tomb. Now he's buried underneath the stone part, okay?
Yep.
The house part is sort of keeps the spirit. It's like a spirit house. Now in Madagascar, they really value their ancestors. They're very important to them. And everybody honors people with a very special ceremony they have called the turning of the bones ceremony.
Okay.
And this can be done in groups of people or singly, but after you've been buried for about 5 to 7 years, you are exhumed.
Okay.
And they will take the bones and they'll wash them and lovingly wrap them in a clean shroud and bury you again, and they'll feast and celebrate. And you're good to go for another 5 to 7 years when they do it again.
Is this a Buddhist thing? Did they tell you what religion?
No. Most of this country, about half, is Christian.
Oh, really? Okay.
But the other half is mostly animist, so that's where this would come. And then there are a few Muslims, but not many to speak of.
Okay,
but
because I was going to say China, I remember them telling us they move bones.
Bones around.
Well,
and again,
family.
Ancestor worship.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like that. In this country, very much ancestor
worship
are important. And you will see that kind of tomb all around the side of the road. And it's also a culture with a lot of taboos. So you can't point at a tomb or you'll get a curse. If you point, you have to point with a bent finger.
Okay.
So we're full of taboos here. So you have to be careful.
All right.
The zebu. Now, this is a very strange-looking cow called a zebu. I'd never heard of a zebu before. And to the kings and to everybody else, even today, this animal is very important. So when we go back to the palace, we see where the king kept his zebu. Next.
So this is
It's a special animal.
A special animal?
A special animal.
Are they only found in Madagascar, to your knowledge?
I've never heard of them anywhere else.
It looks a little bit like a water buffalo.
It does. It does. But what I wanted to show you when we continue is where the king kept his zebu. He corralled them.
Okay.
And there was a mound where he would sacrifice them.
Okay.
And
they did sacrifice it. Okay.
Oh, yes. And of course, status is where you took the horns and you put them on the tree. So this is the pen where he would keep the zebu.
Okay.
And then the next slide will show you where he sacrificed them. Yep. And the next will show you the tree where all of these skulls are.
Oh.
Because this is a status thing. The more zebu you have, the more wealth you have. It's big on status. Zebu are very, very, very important in this culture.
Now, let me ask you something. This, of course, goes back many years.
Many years, but today, absolutely.
Even today, zebu?
Even today.
Really?
Even today. The zebu is like gold. It's like money in the bank. It's like hard currency.
So this is their version of the new, what do they call them, bitcoins?
To this day.
You know, the new currency on the internet. So this is their version.
To this day, when you die, your zebu are slaughtered and the skulls are put on your tomb. And this shows your position in society, your wealth, your status in the community.
So every single zebu I own is dead.
That's what they tell us. So zebu are very important. If there's a drought and the zebus don't get a good price, that's a disaster. If there's not a big enough crop because of not enough water, it's a disaster. But your zebus are important to work as well. And here you see them clumping up the rice paddies. Everything is manual.
Really?
You're not going to see a piece of machinery.
Really?
Oh, no.
Did
You're going to see a hand
surprise you?
That really kind of did. I've seen stuff like this around the world.
What did they say to you? Did they give you a reason? When you asked the guide, which I'm assuming you had.
We didn't ask. They just didn't have machinery. There's no infrastructure in this place. But this just shows you the importance of the zebu in many aspects of their life.
You know, being what I would assume is a relatively pristine island, you say no machinery, so they probably don't have a lot of...
Very basic.
But I'm saying a lot of bad air or carbons and, you know, things like that.
Well,
they're now showing in China.
They burn.
They do burn.
And
but in China, they're showing the rice is now, they're saying, is accumulating lead.
Ugh.
Yeah. So it could be a country like Madagascar, who does grow rice, would be a very valuable rice producer because of the fact that
I think there would be a lot less pollution. A lot less.
Oh, well, it looks...
In fact, as Asia becomes more and more industrial, this is a problem. All over Asia, not just China, for sure.
So a place like Madagascar could be ideal for...
Could be.
For producing, you know, the rice.
Could be. But if we go back to food, for us, I have to tell you, the zebu made a great meal.
Oh, you ate zebu?
Oh, we did. A lot. It was quite good. But see, zebu here, now you see them, do you see that little boat in the distance?
Yes.
We were all going to get on that boat with luggage to go stay on a beach resort for a few days at the end of the trip. And we had the zebu take us out there to the boat with our luggage in these carts. And our guide was sort of arguing a little bit with the zebu keepers here, the cartmen, because apparently they haven't been treating the animals that well. They kind of treat them as workers, and our guide told them that they had to really be good to their animals if they want to tourist business, because we're all very eco-friendly. So there you go, see some of us trotting off in these zebu carts. So
so the zebu is really...
They're everywhere. They're everything.
Quite popular.
Yes.
Huh, interesting.
We're back to the food. If you see how scrawny and miserable this little chicken looks.
Oh, is that what I wasn't
sure? It's a little chicken, and it's my example of showing you how absolutely scrawny the chickens look.
And what has he got on his
I don't know what he's dragging around, but when I took a look at these chickens, I did not touch chicken on this trip. I felt so sorry for these chickens. So the zebu I ate, and I have to say it was quite good. And in fact, in general, the food is very good in Madagascar.
Oh, really?
Yes, it really was.
French influence, you'd say, on the food?
Oh, yes. First of all, when it comes to French influence, and we have to give them this. If we can go back to that picture, it's just great. Here you see the woman carrying the fish on her head. The men go fishing, and the women come, and they bring it here, and they'll bring it to the shopkeeper or the restaurant owner and sell the fish. So you know you're getting fresh stuff. But yes, you're right, Jack, that the French... Wherever they go, wherever they colonize,
the food is right.
But you can get the best bread. And when you are driving 1,250 kilometers in 2 weeks and have a lot of sandwich stops on the side of the road, it's really is great to have good bread.
It is. Yeah. No, the French
go to Hanoi and you'll get the best croissant.
Really?
Better in Paris, yes. The French have done that contribution very, very nicely. But as you can imagine, the fruits and vegetables in this country are beautiful.
Great. Yep.
Although the pineapple and the papaya were not so good. The mango was better. Lots of bananas, but for some reason, some of the fruits weren't so hot. But it was a wonderful place to eat.
Yeah, no. That's always important to me. Now,
and
this is
shows you, we call it Tana, the capital city, and it just shows you how interesting. There are a series of hills here, and the houses are just built up right up the hillside.
Any idea what the...
Don't know, but this would be big. This would be big. But notice that they're farming rice right below the city. I see it. Yeah. Everything is just next to nothing, or next to farming and civilization, so to speak, go together. They're together. It's an interesting little town. This is looking down from the hill.
This looks pretty big.
Yeah, so you see a big stadium there, the big sports stadium, and beyond that is a man-made lake called Lake Annecy. And the next slide will show you how beautiful it is this time of year.
What are these purple trees?
Jacaranda trees. And they're gorgeous.
I've heard of jacaranda.
Yes. I saw them in Kenya many years ago. They're beautiful. So around this man-made lake, you see lots of activity. You see the barber shops here. They have these little barber huts, so you can stop in and get a haircut.
Jacaranda.
Jacaranda trees.
Wow.
And the next slide will show you people working, people welding metal, making furniture. And the next one will show you, I love the old Citroen cars. Yep. It's just fun. It's really, you can see from the street scene how sort of funky this whole place is. Next.
artistic, would you say? Did you see a lot of art
No,
galleries?
no. This is basic. This is basic. Now,
Well, no, but even so, Cuba, I have never been.
Cuba.
But
I just came back.
Oh, you went to Cuba?
Scene. I just
yes,
went.
Don't they have a big art scene?
Huge.
This
But
show
nother.
may not show right away. I don't know when Bill's going to put this show on.
Are you doing something with
Well,
Cuba?
no, I would love to, but I know in the news we're following Jay-Z and Beyonce.
Oh, yes.
Came back from Cuba for their 5th anniversary. And
right. Well, there's ways to go and ways not to go. Madagascar, what you'll buy more there are wooden things, things made of
statues and
so, yeah, it's not an artsy place at all.
No, okay, I'm surprised.
When we went to the slide we just left with, you saw some barbed wire there.
Yes.
And what this brings me back to telling you a little bit about what happened after Madagascar received independence from the French in 1960. There have been 3 republics.
Okay.
Now, it was sort of like Egyptian dynasties. Between each republic, there would be some strife. And people here love to riot and burn things. They're constantly burning things.
Oh, okay.
So between republics, they were burning things. And the last big issue was in 2009, at the end of the Third Republic, when they burned the National Radio Building. They burned lots of industries owned by the president. He had all kinds of industries. And between the burnings and all of these things, and the fact that Madagascar has a cyclone every single year in January, February, there's all sorts of destruction, and where there's destruction, there's looting, and so it's very common to see barbed wire and things on buildings.
So security is an issue.
It's an issue. In the capital city, it is an issue.
Well, I was telling you before we started the show, I'll let you get to this in a second. Several years ago, when the vanilla beans were very high priced, the farmers were having issues growing them to maturity because robbers were coming into their farms, picking the beans, selling them on the black market, and they weren't getting to maturity.
Which is so sad because that'd be like looting elephants for ivory.
Well, I know, but,
very short-sighted.
Listen, you and I both know the world is not always ideal.
No.
All right, this is nothing works, buildings not used.
So
this is what?
The theme of the trip, the theme of our whole trip was that in this country, nothing works.
Okay.
And I want to sort of say one funny thing was, right in the capital city there was a huge, brand new, huge building that turns out to be the American Embassy. Not this.
Okay.
Next to a rice field. We weren't allowed to take pictures of the American Embassy. And it's been empty basically since 2009, since the strife. In other words, nothing works. This was the president's palace.
Oh.
It lies empty. Next.
Okay. So the new president has not moved in.
I don't know if they don't have a new republic yet. Last I heard they were supposed to have elections this summer. I don't really know what the most recent is.
All right.
Now, we just saw a building there that is a hotel in Andasibe right by the train station that used to be full of people coming for lunch on their train rides.
Okay.
But, of course, the train was blown out in the 1994 cyclone, so this doesn't work.
So no train?
No train. And then we went to Ansarabi, another town.
It's a good-looking building.
A nice-looking train station, but the trains don't go there either. They don't work.
Okay.
And we also passed throughout all of our driving.
So there's no train in the whole island? Or little bits of train?
Didn't see one that worked.
Didn't see one that worked.
No, nothing works. I actually bought some CDs because I like the music to use sometimes in my slideshows, and even those wouldn't work. Half the songs would play, half the songs wouldn't play.
Tell me a little bit about the hotels. Where did you stay for this trip?
Depends where you are. We had some pretty decent ones. Pretty funky, though, because you know how you have your converters for the plug?
Yes, yep.
And we were usually using the two-pronged one, but some hotels had different plugs. It was like they weren't even on the same electrical system or something. Nothing was consistent.
Okay.
If we were in the rainforest, say, it would be more of a lodge. Some were actually quite nice. Some were very basic.
Who selected all the hotels and such for you?
Oh, this was done with the trip that I took. It's a British trip.
They do this on a regular basis, this trip? Okay.
Yes.
So they had tested out all the hotels before you got there?
This is a fairly budget experience.
But I mean, the people who ran it knew what kind of places.
And in fact, when you get a really nice place, which did happen a couple times, you're almost shocked. Because, you know, we go expecting the worst.
Okay.
And it's always good for a laugh, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you have to have a sense of humor on some of
Back
these.
to Nothing Works. This just gives you an example of the kind of roads that they have in this country, meaning non-existent. Very few are paved. And even the economic infrastructure here is very poor. Very few places will use a credit card. Very,
Really?
very, very few. You need to go with money. A couple of hotels or restaurants in the capital city will take a card, but they're not set up for credit cards.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty backward.
Huh.
What was working? The factory that worked was the Three Horses Beer Factory. That seems to be working very well. And they have a cigarette factory that seems to work very well. So I do want you to know
So the vices were selling.
Indeed, something does work.
Okay.
Yeah, something works. And most people don't have electricity or water in their home, running water. So you'll see these jerry cans, people lugging jerry cans all over the place. And they
So
go
you
to
would
these,
say it was very third world.
Oh, yeah. You see these little water huts where they pay a little bit of money to get water, and then they lug it home.
Oh. Okay.
And at one point, I was in a taxi, and there was this long line stringing around a building. And I said, well, what are they waiting for? And he said they're waiting to pay their electric bills. Although that didn't make much sense, seeing there isn't much electricity. I said, well, why don't they just mail them in? Who wants to stand around all day? Well, the mail only comes once a month.
Okay.
So you get the idea?
I get
You get the idea. Now, the schools, they don't have enough school buildings, so the kids have to rotate between going in morning or afternoon. They'll do like a double shift. There's a schools are free and compulsory, but you still have to buy your own uniform, and you have to pay for books, so this deters a lot of people. And the adult literacy rate is not good. It's about 64%. It's not great. And for girls, it's much worse.
Oh, really? The girls are not
well, you know,
equally...
no.
Well, no, but I mean, I think...
No, I think the girls could do a little better here.
Okay.
Yeah. I do.
No, some countries that
You're
maybe
right.
third world, the women do very, well and
I
educated.
wasn't getting that sense
You didn't get
here.
that. Okay.
I didn't get that sense.
All right.
And now what I'm going to show you is sort of the kind of thing you would see by the road as you drove by. And lots of brick making. You see a lot of brick piles everywhere.
Yep.
They use bricks to build. And the next slide will show you some of the little structures, the thatched roof bricks.
Okay.
And they're cute. All around the countryside, everywhere you'll see this kind of housing. And then...
Most of these people in the countryside, you would say, were farmers?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Subsistence farming, absolutely. Yep. And everywhere you go, whether it be nowhere or somewhere, there are always churches. In fact, sometimes you find them in the middle of no place, but they really believe, and they do have their churches.
Oh, all right. Well, that's good.
Yep. So you see that. And the next you'll see the kids are all out. Sometimes they're out at
look
school
how cute
exercising.
the little kids are.
They're adorable. They play. I mean, the kids are wonderful, and they're friendly and sweet. So that's always nice to see kids. And this is what you'll see along all the streets as you drive along a road. Everything happens on the street, kind of just like it does in Asia. They eat on the street, they work on the street, they sell on the street. One thing not so pleasant was all this meat hanging all over the street. I love the strings of sausages there, or whatever it is, God knows. In fact, when I see all that meat hanging, it amazes me that we did eat the zebu, but you'll see that. And, of course, the good old-fashioned way to do laundry.
Oh, this is the laundry.
That's the laundry. This is the laundromat. You don't need quarters here.
Okay.
And so and people carrying things on their heads, which is a whole big subject I hope to talk to you about. But this is a very common thing. In this culture, more men would carry than in some other cultures on their head. Usually it's the women.
Okay.
But the men were even seen carrying their children, which I thought was
Isn't
sweet.
that interesting that you would notice those things?
Yes. I'm noticing who carries what.
Are you doing that in your photo displays?
I'm doing that. I'd be turning into a sociological study, because in many places in the world, you don't see men carrying much, let alone children. Men are very good at supervising. They will stand there and direct the women on how to carry and where to bring it.
But they don't do a lot of the carrying. No.
Not a lot.
Okay.
Growing rice. Now, rice is a big staple here. They eat rice 3 times a day, all the meals. In fact, so what I was going to show here was the fact that in September...
By the way, I have to compliment you. I love the pictures you did.
This one is pretty.
No, they're very clear, and you did a great job, yeah.
Well, in September is when they start to till the fields.
Okay.
And they flood them like this. And then what they do is they bring back those zebu to start breaking up the clumps of dirt, and they will run these zebu around in circles. It's hysterical. This guy is sort of, shepherding
Chasing them,
guys.
yeah.
Yeah, and they run in circles, and this is the way they break up the dirt. Okay? It's that simple. And the women plant, and this is in November, so we were there for the planting.
The men don't plant.
No, the women are doing the planting, and the women also do the harvesting. So after cyclone season, the women will do the harvesting. This is women's work.
And the men, what, tell them where to put the harvest after they harvested?
Beats me.
Really, you could?
And nothing goes to waste here. So the husks will be used to thatch a roof or feed the zebu or something. Now we're into a big problem. And everybody.
But you didn't see the men doing a lot of work, it sounds like. No. All right. All right.
They farm a little. Yeah, but the women are doing the rice work anyway.
Okay.
I'll put it to you there.
All right.
We think of deforestation as something fairly modern. But actually, deforestation has been going on for the 2,000 years since people started inhabiting Madagascar. 2,000 years. And since man first came there, they have lost 90% of their forests.
Really?
90%. Now, on the left there, you see a beautiful, pristine forest.
Yeah.
And on the right, you really see the mess of deforestation. And this is actually one view that I had in the two different
Now,
slides.
when you say deforestation, are you saying they cut down the
Yes.
logs and
Yes.
they, use it for
Yes.
farming?
Yes, they cut down because they want the land to farm. And this slash and burn technique is terrible. They grow rice, manioc. They want to slash and burn for quick results to get the land, and it works to make a better crop for the first few years,
Yeah,
but then it just ruins the land. Now, the French even would come in.
Who's this little fella?
Oh, well, why one goes to Madagascar is
Okay.
lemurs. Now, lemurs, there are 99 species and subspecies of lemurs. And believe it or not, only in Madagascar are they found in the wild.
Oh, really? Okay.
Madagascars are primates. You see his little 5-digit hand?
Yes,
That's a
yes.
primate. They have nails like we do. They don't have claws. The forward-facing eyes with depth perception, the little muzzle, they are primates. And there are many kinds. And most lemurs are what they call typical lemurs, and I'm showing you some of those. Now, I just love this
And
guy.
they're what? They're vegetarians?
Now, this one is not. Back up,
really?
please, because I want to talk a little bit about the ring-tailed lemur, which is my favorite. They're found in the south. They're very social. They travel, say, in groups of 30.
Okay.
They are omnivorous. They are actually the most terrestrial, as opposed to arboreal. And they mark their scent, they mark their territories with scent. I love this one. This is the black and white rough lemur. Really cute. And some of these came out great. The brown lemur, and there are many different kinds
What
of
are
brown
they,
lemurs.
kind of in the, something between a monkey and a ferret or something? Am I giving a...
typical lemurs do look monkey-like with
Yeah.
the tail, the big ears.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the typical lemurs do look this way. You get a whole lemur lesson over here, like more than you want to know.
Well, it sounds like this is
Black
what
lemur.
unique to
Oh,
Madagascar.
and they're just so adorable. There's so many kinds. And this one shouldn't be here because it's not a typical lemur. This is what you call a shafaka. It's a different one. We'll look at that in a minute.
Now,
and
he's
this
what,
guy,
red and white a little bit.
he was red and brown,
Oh,
and some
look
of
at
them
this
are.
one, yeah.
We're back to the brown.
Now, I'm going to
lemur
ask
in
you
the
a
tree.
question nobody's asked you, I bet. Do any of the people take these as pets?
No.
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 Okay.
Oh no. These are wild animals.
Okay. Well, because they
but
look so cute.
This one, here's the rough one. All I know. That's why you got to love them. But the best one, Jack, you got to see the next slide. You got to see it. This guy was rubbing his little back on a branch, reaching out, stretching. We stood there and laughed for 20 minutes. It was the cutest thing I'd ever seen. And the little Hubbard sportif lemur, look at his little head peeking out of a tree.
Oh, terrific.
Isn't he cute?
He
And
is
oh,
cute.
this is me with one right on me. Now, this was like the Disneyland of of lemur, because you went to a little island where they're so habituated that they're almost like tame. And if you have a banana, they'll come right up to you. And we got our best pictures there. We absolutely got our best pictures there. And look at, there's somebody
so they
stroking
look
him.
pretty little.
Oh, they're not so big. They're
Yeah, I was going to say, well, the other photos, but
so
I can
huge,
see with
not
your
so huge.
hand there, or someone's hand.
That's somebody's hand. No, but it's so cute how they are. And some of them are nocturnal. Actually, half the species of lemurs are nocturnal.
Okay.
And especially the small ones. And this little tiny mouse lemur is probably the smallest primate.
Let me ask you: is there a protection status?
Oh yeah.
They do. The state says you can't.
Yeah,
good.
They've made more and more national parks to preserve these guys.
Good.
Absolutely.
I like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, you're not aware of it, but I'm very much of an activist with animal protection, and it's a big issue for me. And,
well, it should be. And this was a little mouse lemur there who hung out in the massage hut of our beach place. So if you were massaged on your back, you could look up and see him kind of looking at you.
They are cute.
And here we have
Look
the
at
shafakas.
all the colors.
Yeah, the shafakas are bigger. They are bipedal, not quadrupeds like the other ones. So they are bipedal, and they leap from side to side.
Meaning they have, what, 2 arms, you're saying?
Bipedal meaning they really move on 2 legs, not 4.
Okay.
You know,
so they stand up.
Yeah.
We would be bipedal.
Leap. Correct.
Okay.
But we don't leap the way they leap. And they're the second
Speak for yourself.
The Indri is actually the biggest lemur. And there is a park called Montadia National Park that was started in 1970 just to preserve these guys.
Really?
They have a very certain kind of diet. They eat lots of young leaves and fruit, and they eat like a kilo of 10 different species of plants.
Who did you get the sense was behind pushing for the preservation?
Oh, definitely the government.
But with so many different governments and so much poverty, do you find the NGOs or the other?
Yep, they're in there too.
Okay, so you're saying perhaps some of the other countries, European countries, America, are pushing?
I would think so.
Okay.
And you know, they're trying to reach out to the farmers that live right nearby to not slash and burn and to protect.
Right.
And they're having trouble getting the population in line. This guy is actually one of the newer species, and he's very, very rare, hard to find. Now, Jack, sometimes you're hiking to find this stuff.
Yep.
You're in the rainforest. You could hike hours and hours.
And not see them.
But the terrain can be really tricky. This was our hardest hike. It was
now,
steep,
I see you
slippery.
say bamboo, meaning he eats bamboo.
I don't know about that. That's what they named.
Did you see them growing a lot of bamboo? Was that a...
There is bamboo.
There is bamboo. Okay.
The baobabs.
Oh, look at these trees. What are these?
Baobabs. Now, look at my friend Mike, if you can see him.
Okay, I do.
He is 6'5", and the tree is thousands of years old. It is so high you can't even see it. And baobabs have funny roots. Their branches are almost as if you pulled a tree out of the ground and put it upside down.
Okay.
They're sort of flat-like. And these ones, the biggest ones can have a circumference of 64 feet around.
No.
And they've lasted
So these are their version of the redwoods?
Yeah. They're fireproof.
Really?
And they don't make good timber because they're very pulpy and mushy inside. So people
so they
don't
bend, you're saying.
So nobody will destroy this tree because they have no purpose. If the purpose people will have is maybe to make a hole in it and get well water and use it that way.
Okay.
And these are the little mini baobabs.
Oh, these.
And they're the same baobab, but these are minis, and they don't laugh. These are about 100 years old.
Really?
They grow fatter. They don't grow taller. They grow fatter. And we're looking at more flora and fauna now. And
those were 100 years old?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, this particular plant is called Napoleon's hat. You can see why.
Okay.
And then we have Jesus' crown of thorns. You can see why. And believe it or not, that is actually not a leaf, but it's a gecko that looks like a leaf, that brown thing there.
Where?
A leaf, exactly where. It's an animal.
The brown
thing. That brown thing is not a leaf.
Isn't the gecko what we see in that insurance commercial?
Another kind.
No?
A different kind. And this is a stick insect on the bottom.
I've seen
looks
those
like
before.
A twig. And, that's just amazing camouflage.
Yep.
Amazing. These are called the white leaf bugs because they're young, they're white, and then when they get older, they turn into red leaf bugs.
Okay.
Okay. And then we have the long-necked giraffe weasel, which is male. And then we have the short-necked giraffe weasel, which is female. So I got to
Really? This is what they told you?
Yeah.
These pictures are great.
Yeah. And
now,
now,
what did you do? You knew what you were looking for, and you...
No, they showed us
They
things,
showed you?
and,
Okay.
Oh, the chameleons, everybody loves chameleons. And they can
Okay.
be anywhere from an inch long to feet long. And they have eyes that are weird. Their eyes
He almost has a toad
totally
up here. Yes.
They all look, there are many different kinds. But they have very interesting eyes that have vision separately, and they can see 360 around their body, which is great for spotting
What
prey.
about birds? Did you see a lot of
We
different...
saw birds. You're going to see some birds when we run some pictures.
Okay.
Although I'm not a great bird taker because I don't have the patience to deal with them, but you will see some birds. They have many, many birds. Okay. People. Very friendly, a little
Okay.
reserved, but they are very friendly. And now I'm showing you.
Is that the chicken again?
I want to show you things that made me laugh. And this guy comes up to us and he's trying to sell us his chickens.
He
We're
looks
at a
like
gas
Little
station.
Richard. He reminds me of Little Richard.
We're at a gas station getting gas in a town, and he comes up to us to sell us chickens. And this is called a tourist tree because it's peeling. We thought that was kind of fun. And another thing that made me laugh
What's it say?
is
Cape Cod?
that you have to go halfway
I love
around
it.
the
I love
world,
it.
halfway around the world to find someone wearing a Cape Cod sweatshirt, and
Not just Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Did you see that?
and to find out who is really the boss. Have you ever wondered in your life who's really the boss?
Very cute.
Now you know. And now I'd like to just show you some other
I
pictures.
love the Cape Cod shirt.
Yeah. I'd like to just run through some other pictures from this trip so you get a sense of the
I will
diverse-
let them run it, but I have to tell you a funny story. I'll never forget, we're somewhere, I think it was in Italy, and they're selling tables. They go, "Where are you from?" And I said, Boston. And he said, no, we're in Boston. At the time, I had lived in Newton. I said, Newton, you wouldn't know. He said, no, tell me, Newton. And he said, oh, I sold a table to Mrs. Brown from Newton Center and blah, 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 So it makes me laugh when I see that Cape Cod
That's funny.
shirt.
Yeah.
Here you are in the middle of the jungle.
It's a small world.
It's a small world.
Obviously, someone came and gave the kid a shirt.
And then they'll tell you they know our associate producer Shirley. They met her down there, and oh, this is the Hindus, the
I
Hindu
see
or
what
Buddhist
we've got.
monks.
Now, Jack, I am working on a show
Yeah.
called People Carrying Things Across Cultures because, as I
Okay.
told you before, I'm fascinated by people carrying
Well, the
things.
first thing is they don't have shoes.
And they don't have shoes. And what I've done, because of the layout of this particular gallery, is I've broken it down into themes. And this would be an example of people carrying for religious purposes.
Okay.
Their alms bowl.
I
Think
gotcha.
about it. Everybody carries, young and old. We carry for love, we carry for necessity, we carry for leisure. Here's another religious one. We have the Virgin of Guadalupe
And this is a
being
big
paraded.
church back
This is a
there.
very big basilica
This looks like a
outside
beautiful. Can I tell you something?
of Mexico City.
Oh, this is in Mexico.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
I was gonna say.
Oh, no, we're all over the world now. We're all over
Okay.
the world. I'm just showing you what I'm working on right now. This is my beautiful daughter holding presents because what we celebrate, how we express ourselves, quote, religiously for Christmas or Hanukkah, is to give gifts. So people
She's
carry.
carrying gifts.
She's carrying
I gotcha.
gifts, yes. This is the Holi Festival in Calcutta, India, the Color Festival. And he's carrying his drum, and this is a religious festival to celebrate the harvest. They throw paints and colors all over the place, and it's absolutely wild. Here is, again in India, what I call blessings to go. He has his little basket, and he will bless you for a few rupees. He will put a dot on your head, a good luck flower in your pocket, tie a little string around your wrist that you should leave there until it falls off.
That's a business for you,
It's a
Amy. I'm telling you.
blessings to go, I call it.
I'll
He walks
get you
the
a spot
streets.
in downtown Springfield.
Yeah. Here we are in Paro, Bhutan. And this is a festival
Where is
celebrating...
Paro, Bhutan?
Bhutan is, I want to say northeast of India, and they have a big festival that celebrates the Buddha or it's a big thing. But anyway, they're carrying this big demon guy. Here we're back in Mexico for the Day of the Dead, which takes place November 1st and 2nd, and they sell and buy flowers. Chrysanthemums are big this time, and
Okay.
they build altars, they decorate their graves, they stay all night in the cemetery celebrating.
Really?
Yeah, they celebrate. This is in Ethiopia, the Timkat
Look at the
Festival in
view. Wait, I
Ethiopia.
have to tell you, the colors are
Aren't they stunning?
fabulous.
They are now parading the Ark of the Covenant down to the baths of the Queen of Sheba. It's like a baptism.
What do you mean the Ark of the Covenant? Are you saying from the Israeli Bible?
That supposedly is in...
And are
here.
these supposed Ethiopian Jews?
These are Ethiopian priests.
Priests who are not Jews.
We're
but-
back to carrying. So now
right.
we have Grandma carrying her little grandchildren while she works. See, look at how people carry. And of course, people have to carry while they work. Here are people looking for someone to carry. We are in the rice fields of southern China now.
Okay.
And we see a little girl carrying her sister, and we think, oh, play. But this isn't play. She's taking care of this child probably while her mother works.
Again,
Now we're back in the
beautiful colors.
Indian towns in Mexico, and this woman has a little baby on her back while she's going to market. This is America, good old America, the Santa Pub Crawl weekend in December in New York City, and another way people carry people. People carry other people.
These are great. This is
woman,
where? Look at her.
This is in Sikkim, which is a part of India in the northeast.
With the nose ring. Look
Do you
at the
love
nose ring in there.
And this is what I classify as people carrying for work. I mean, she's just buried.
I have to tell you, though, after looking at these pictures, I feel we dress very drab here in the United States.
Don't we, though?
Really? No, look
woman
at all the colors
This
everybody
is again
else.
in Pátzcuaro for the Day of the Dead Festival in Mexico, the flowers again.
Yep.
And this is what I call the oh my God section of the exhibit. How can you carry this much stuff? We are now in Papua New Guinea on an island, Kirawina Island, same island. And I mean, it amazes me.
That's where we get the Tahitian vanilla beans from, by the way.
Okay.
They grow a different style of bean.
Yeah.
It's a different flower,
Yeah.
more floral
Okay.
than the Madagascar, which is a bourbon vanilla.
Again,
just
we're
so you know.
carrying for work here in northern India, I think.
No, that's
Is
going
it
to be
Uganda?
Africa.
Maybe it's Uganda.
Uganda.
I got to look that
He
up.
looks Ugandan.
Yeah, he probably does.
No, not in India.
Now,
Oh,
this
look
one
at
I
that color.
love. Okay, this is again Querétaro, which is a state outside to the west of Mexico City. And I actually made a birthday card out of this. And it says inside, you open the card and it says, it's your birthday, have some balloons. And my mother just turned 78 and I sent it to her and she called me and said there weren't enough balloons for 78, which I tend to doubt.
Does she cook?
She does.
She cooks. Good.
Now, this is, again, we're in Mexico, and this is people carrying for work. She's trying to sell all this stuff, so the colors are just dazzling, and her little head pops out of all
Now
this
here
stuff.
you got a guy finally.
We are in eastern Turkey, and he's and he's selling his pretzels.
Oh, I remember those in Turkey. They
Will you
weren't
tell me?
pretzels, they were bread. A sesame bread.
Yeah,
Oh, they're delicious.
And now we are in Morocco, where I
Yep.
just was this winter, and I don't know how he's balancing all these pita breads. I have no idea. And they don't like
This
their
is where,
pictures.
in Marrakesh or
Morocco.
Casablanca?
Somewhere on the road to somewhere.
Okay.
Okay, and I don't know where. But, oh, now we're on the beach in Myanmar, and I call it fast food for lunch. She's got fish skewered on the beach. And we're back in Papua New Guinea, and he's carrying his taro plants. And, oh, this is great.
Oh,
They caught a bandicoot, this rodent, in Papua New Guinea.
what
and
are they going to do with them?
that's what we asked, and the answer was they were going to cook it in soup for dinner and make bandicoot soup.
Okay, I'll pass.
We were so glad we weren't asked to join them that night. And here we're carrying food. We're carrying fish for dinner. That's another section of my exhibit, carrying food. He's on the side of the road.
He almost looks Middle Eastern,
No, this
fellow.
is Papua New Guinea.
Oh,
This
okay.
is lemons and oranges. And my banana girl, I love, from Uganda. I love her.
And she's at a bakery. She's going to make banana bread.
Oh, gosh. And he's carrying sticks. You got to wonder, is he carrying or is the bicycle carrying? But okay,
The bicycle's
he's carrying
carrying.
sticks. Well, I put him in anyway.
All right.
She's carrying her broom. This is Madagascar. This is in Myanmar. Have you ever seen such a thing?
No.
These go in the oh my God. And he's Uganda. He's carrying blankets for sale.
Yeah.
But look at the neat pile on his head. Isn't it marvelous?
You know, you'll have to come back
So
because I'd love to see. You see, you're giving my audience and
There's
me.
the supervision. The men load the heavy rock on the woman's head. This is a construction site. And she's dressed in this elegant-looking sari, and the men tell her where to go and dump it, and then she comes back and the man puts another rock on her head for her to drag it somewhere else.
Well, it builds a strong neck.
Strong neck. Oh, my God.
You know, I have to well, go ahead.
And do you love it? This is
I've got to get my 2 cents in. I'm going to have to bring you back because you're giving me a taste of, I want to see Burma. Well, Myanmar, and I want to see all these places.
I know it. But this is in Jaipur, going to market. And, you know, isn't it wonderful how women can socialize and chit-chat while they're carrying all this stuff? I don't even see this woman under
Well, I remember in Jaipur, I've been to Jaipur,
Crazy,
and I remember the women were making patties with everything how do their cooking and burning. I won't get into it today.
And we're in China here.
Yep.
Yep. Carrying for work. And again with the sticks. That one I think is not going in my exhibit. Okay.
You're going to take him out?
I chose the other one, I think.
Oh, the other photo of him.
Yeah, the other guy with the sticks. I had so much material.
You know.
But you see, you start to notice when you take pictures.
You give me a taste of all these other trips. We're going to have to get you back shortly.
You start noticing things cross-culture, and then you want to pursue them.
So tell me a little bit briefly, where is this exhibit on carrying right now?
It's not. It's going up in Northampton at the library, Forbes Library in Northampton for the month of July.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I hope the newspaper will cover it for you because it's really an unusual way to present an exhibit.
It's been a really interesting thing to work on.
Oh, I love it. I really do. And if I didn't love it, I'd say it's nice. You know, I'd tone down.
I'm fascinated with
it is. It's interesting.
What you didn't see are people carrying for leisure, because in so many parts of the world, they just don't have leisure. So that's something I want to develop. And I'll probably have to do more picture
taking
here.
You'll come to America and you'll show
That's
people.
That's right. That was the people carrying people with the Santa Clauses.
I think you're right. I think Americans, we have more leisure than many other societies.
Western cultures, yeah.
Yes. You'll come back and see us again.
I hope so, Jack. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This was great.
Thank you.
Really. And we got to get you back for more of these because I just want to see them. Even if I bore the audience, I don't care. We're gonna visit these other places.
That's great.
Thank you.